Everyone aspires to reach that sacred place called financial freedom, the morning when money is no longer the silent alarm clock that drags you out of bed exhausted, nor the shadow that follows you into sleep with a knot of worry in your chest. Yet the vast majority of people completely misunderstand where that freedom actually begins. They imagine it starts the day their bank balance finally shows an impressive string of zeros. In reality, the entire journey ignites long before the numbers become large. It ignites the very first moment you decide to relate to money differently, and that moment usually arrives disguised as something as ordinary as one single $100 bill. Before we continue, make this commitment. This channel isn't about quick fixes, it's about developing traders with mental strength and discipline. If that resonates with you, join us. Subscribe now so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Stay until the end and keep progressing with us, one mindset shift at a time. This video isn't just another trading video, it's a mirror for your mindset. Like now, comment what resonates, and stay until the end. Because one idea here could change how you think, and how you trade. Let's go. Most human beings stare at a $100 bill and feel only constriction, a reminder of everything they cannot yet afford. The mind that is destined for genuine freedom looks at the same bill and sees limitless potential, a living seed. True wealth has never been a question of how many dollars you possess at any given instant, it is a question of the quality of your ongoing relationship with those dollars. The way you treat small money is the most accurate prophecy of how you will treat large money. This is precisely why lottery winners and sudden millionaires so frequently return to broke within a handful of years. Their income expanded dramatically, but the internal operating system that governs their financial decisions did not upgrade alongside it. Financial freedom is first and foremost a psychological transformation long before it ever becomes a mathematical one. It is never about the size of your earnings, it is about the maturity of your behavior once the earnings arrive. The individual who can shepherd $100 with reverence, intention, and disciplined restraint will, without exception, 1 day steward $100,000 with the same calm authority. Conversely, the individual who squanders or emotionally hemorrhages $100 will inevitably lose $100,000. Just as quickly if it ever lands in their hands, because money does not heal dysfunctional habits, it simply amplifies them with greater consequences. Most people pursue money from an emotional wound, the aching desire to escape scarcity, to finally feel safe, respected, admired, or powerful. Yet money has never solved an emotional void, it only illuminates it more brightly. If desperation, envy, or impulsivity dominate your inner world when resources are scarce, those same emotions will still dominate when resources are abundant. Only now the stakes are catastrophically higher. This is why the true cornerstone of financial independence is not a bigger paycheck, it is emotional sovereignty. When you possess only $100, every single dollar vibrates with significance. In that moment you face a perpetual crossroads, you can spend the money in a fleeting attempt to soothe discomfort, or you can deploy it in a way that generates lifelong pride and expanding possibility. One path feeds the fragile ego that screams, "I deserve comfort right now." The other path nourishes the future self, who quietly responds, "I deserve far more tomorrow, and I am willing to earn it." That single distinction, the cultivated ability to delay gratification, is the dividing line between those who remain financially trapped and those who inevitably rise. Money is magnetically attracted to those who treat it with respect and repelled by those who treat it with contempt or carelessness. Respecting money does not mean clutching it in terror or refusing to enjoy life. It means spending with deliberate intention rather than reflexive emotion. Every single purchase is an opportunity to ask yourself one transformative question: is this expenditure moving me measurably closer to freedom, or is it pushing me further into dependence? If you cannot answer That question with clarity and confidence, you are spending from emotion rather than strategy. The entire pilgrimage from $100 to lasting freedom begins with heightened awareness, awareness of your automatic thoughts about money, awareness of your visceral reactions to scarcity, and most importantly, awareness of how you personally define the word enough. The majority of people believe they suffer from a money shortage when, in truth, they suffer from a perspective shortage. They chase ever higher income while remaining blind to the deeper truth that freedom is never measured by how much you earn, it is measured by how little you require in order to feel complete, safe, and at peace. The instant that realization takes root, the entire game changes. The frantic pursuit of luxury goods evaporates, replaced by the quiet pursuit of inner tranquility. The exhausting need to impress strangers dissolves, replaced by the steady construction of authentic self-reliance. Impulsive purchases transform into intentional investments. Every small act of discipline begins to compound not only financially but psychologically, forging a mind that grows stronger with each conscious choice. The very first battlefield is impulse control. Each time you resist the siren call of an unnecessary purchase, you are literally rewiring your brain to derive greater satisfaction from long-term outcomes than from short-term dopamine hits. That neural pathway is the true foundation of compounding, because compounding is not limited to interest rates, it applies with equal force to decisions. Every intelligent financial decision adds invisible momentum. Every impulsive decision leaks that momentum away. Consider a simple example: if you took $100 and managed to grow it by a modest 10% per month through disciplined trading or investing, that single bill would metamorphose into more than $2,300 in just 2 years. That outcome is not magic or rare genius, it is merely the quiet mathematics of consistency applied relentlessly. The identical principle governs your mindset. If you improve your financial habits by even 10% each month, spending slightly more consciously, saving slightly more automatically, thinking slightly more clearly, your entire existence begins to compound in dimensions you cannot yet foresee. Yet the single greatest obstacle to compounding is almost never the mathematics, it is the excruciating requirement of patience. Most individuals abandon the process long before the exponential curve becomes visible because they are addicted to instant validation. They demand freedom immediately, without first earning the psychological musculature required to sustain it. They leap from one shiny get-rich promise to the next, never grasping that consistency, not velocity, is the ultimate wealth accelerator. The rare individuals who actually achieve lasting financial independence are those who fall deeply in love with gradual, almost imperceptible growth. They do not chase adrenaline, they chase effectiveness. They do not hunt for shortcuts, they engineer robust systems. They comprehend at the deepest level that freedom is never a sudden jackpot, it is the cumulative result of a complete rewiring of thought patterns, behavioral habits, and opportunity recognition. At this point in the original script there was a brief promotional break. I have removed it entirely to honor the purity of the message and to keep the flow uninterrupted. The deeper truth is this: financial freedom is not about escaping labor forever, it is about manufacturing genuine options. It is not about never spending another dollar on pleasure, it is about spending every dollar with crystalline purpose. It is not about extracting joy from life, it is about severing the toxic dependence on money as the primary source of joy. When you arrive at that psychological coordinates, you become quietly dangerous in the most admirable way. You become immune to manipulation by advertising, trends, or social pressure because your sense of worth no longer requires external consumption to validate it. The mind that successfully compounds $100 into freedom is a mind that has achieved profound detachment from the societal illusion that more equals better. Success ceases to be measured by the visible price tag of possessions and begins to be measured by the invisible depth of inner peace. The objective is no longer to appear wealthy to others. The objective is to live unshackled within yourself. Appearing wealthy keeps you imprisoned in an endless performance of proof. Living free keeps you laser-focused on genuine expansion. You will notice that individuals who have truly mastered their financial reality radiate a distinctive calm. They do not boast. They do not compare. They do not chase validation. They move with quiet, unshakable confidence because their stability was constructed from the inside out. Their well-being does not depend on market moods, viral trends, or lucky breaks, it rests on timeless principles they have internalized completely. In practice, this mindset manifests as a series of subtle but powerful contrasts. While others buy on impulse, you pause and evaluate. While others panic during downturns, you strategically plan. While others chase fleeting trends, you study enduring fundamentals. While others surrender after a single setback, you extract the lesson, adjust, and persist. This is the compounding mindset in motion. Every patient choice becomes a brick in an invisible fortress. Every moment of deliberate restraint becomes future capital. Every instance of delayed gratification plants a seed that silently multiplies. Here is the beautiful paradox: the moment you cease obsessing over money is the moment money begins to flow toward you with increasing ease. When you operate from abundance rather than scarcity, from intention rather than fear, you broadcast an entirely different energetic signal. Money is attracted to clarity, structure, and respectful stewardship. When you demonstrate, through daily action, that you are ready to receive more. By managing the little with excellence, the universe and your own subconscious conspire to deliver greater responsibility. Yet reaching that stage demands the courageous release of outdated patterns, emotional spending, compulsive comparison, and the fantasy that one dramatic windfall will permanently erase decades of undisciplined thinking. Authentic freedom is never constructed through a single heroic victory. It is assembled through thousands of small, often monotonous, deeply disciplined actions that the majority of people are simply unwilling to perform day after day. Every person who has ever achieved lasting financial independence shares one non-negotiable trait: they mastered the art of productive boredom. They remained faithfully consistent during the long seasons when absolutely nothing appeared to be happening. They continued saving, investing, learning, and refining their approach even when external evidence of progress was completely absent. They understood, on a visceral level, that compounding is invisible in its early phases and only later reveals itself as an unstoppable force. If you can learn to manage $100 with clarity, systems, and unwavering patience, the scale of future sums becomes almost irrelevant. The external number on the account is secondary, the internal transformation of character is primary. You become disciplined where others remain chaotic, calm where others remain frantic, strategic where others remain reactive, and confident where others remain doubtful. That transformed identity is the ultimate form of wealth, because it continuously generates more long after the first wave of money has arrived. Therefore, if you are holding $100 in your hand right now, refuse to see it as a limitation. See it instead as the most valuable training arena you will ever enter. Every financial decision you make From this moment forward is quietly sculpting the future version of you who will one day command thousands or millions. The question is never, how much do I possess? The question is, how wisely and respectfully do I steward what I already possess? Because financial freedom does not commence with a larger paycheck. It commences with a conscious decision to think differently, to act intentionally, and to master the microscopic before you are entrusted with the macroscopic. Compounding does not begin in your bank account. It begins in the private theater of your mind. Everyone fantasizes about doubling their money overnight, yet remarkably few are willing to double their discipline. Here is the uncomfortable truth that separates dreamers from those who actually arrive. Discipline is the invisible engine that transforms $100 into freedom. Neither the market, nor your employer, nor your business ultimately dictates your outcomes, your daily habits do. Every dollar you choose to save instead of spend, every impulse you master instead of obey, every decision you delay until clarity arrives, each of these microscopic victories accumulates silently until it forms an avalanche of results. The reason the majority never build enduring wealth is not a lack of opportunity, it is a lack of sustained consistency. They live in perpetual hope of the one mythical big win, the viral product, the perfect trade, the unicorn investment. But genuine, lasting success is never one dramatic moment, it is thousands of small, unglamorous, consistent actions layered upon one another until they create an unbreakable structure. Picture a tiny seed buried in dark soil. It does not grow because you scream at it or remember to water it once every few weeks. It grows because someone shows up every single day, without fail, to provide the quiet nourishment it requires even when no green shoot is yet visible. Discipline is that daily, ordinary, faithful act of showing up. It is rarely exciting, yet it is the only force capable of growing roots deep enough to withstand every future storm, and storms always come, whether in markets, businesses, or life. When your capital is only $100, every misstep feels monumental. That intensity is actually a gift, it forces meticulous care and profound respect for risk. If you can cultivate patience and precision at this modest scale, you are forging a mental operating system that will serve you at any scale. The person who masters consistency with small amounts will manage large amounts without panic or arrogance. The person who cannot control themselves at $100 will lose $100,000 with the same reckless ease. Discipline extends far beyond mere saving, it is fundamentally emotional regulation under pressure. Most financial losses do not stem from inferior information, they stem from inferior reactions. People chase excitement, buy to fill boredom, trade to alleviate anxiety, spend to impress individuals who are indifferent. Every one of those moments is a crucial test, and the majority fail because they have never trained their emotional musculature. The disciplined mind treats money as a serious tool rather than a shiny toy. Every dollar is assigned a specific job, no dollar is allowed to wander aimlessly. Clear rules are established and honored, even when emotion screams otherwise. Spending is tracked with precision. Risk is measured, never guessed. Gratification is delayed until it serves a higher purpose. Intention becomes the default operating mode. This is not innate genius, it is deliberate conditioning repeated until it feels natural. Let us speak plainly, discipline is exhausting. In the beginning because it is an internal civil war between your short-term self, who craves comfort, validation, and pleasure right now, and your long-term self, who craves growth, sovereignty, and lasting peace. Every financial crossroads is a vote for which self will gain strength. The more votes your long-term self accumulates, the faster compounding accelerates in every area of life. The simplest way to win this war is to remove reliance on fleeting motivation and replace it with unbreakable structure. Motivation evaporates, systems endure. Automate every positive behavior. Automatic transfers to savings, automatic investments the moment money arrives. Budgets that reflect your deepest values rather than your fleeting moods, tools that make progress visible. When your environment makes the right choice, the default choice, discipline ceases to require heroic willpower and simply becomes who you are. Here is a truth most wealthy individuals will never openly admit: they are not dramatically more talented than anyone else. They have simply made disciplined decision-making their normal, everyday reality. They save automatically, invest regularly, study before acting, and refuse to let emotion override logic. Over decades, these ordinary habits compound into what outsiders mistakenly label as genius, when in reality it is merely structure operating behind the scenes. Consider trading as one clear example. Countless traders enter the arena overflowing with passion yet completely devoid of process. They risk far too much on single positions, revenge trade. After losses, allow fear or greed to hijack their plan. That is not a knowledge deficit, it is a discipline deficit. The most successful traders are rarely the most emotional or the most clever, they are the most ruthlessly consistent. They follow their predefined rules whether the last trade was a winner or a loser, because they understand the real game is internal control, not external prediction. The same principle governs long-term investing. Those who amass genuine fortunes do not constantly shuffle their portfolio, chasing the latest hot stock. They buy quality, they hold patiently, they reinvest dividends, they repeat for decades. It is not glamorous, it is not exciting, but it is disciplined, and discipline is direction, not deprivation. When your goal is crystal clear, financial freedom defined in your own specific, personal terms, every act of discipline ceases to feel like punishment and begins to feel like purposeful construction. Write your definition down: freedom may mean zero debt, the ability to leave a soul-crushing job, abundant time for family and passions, or the capacity to support loved ones without stress. Clarity transforms discipline from restriction into liberation. Discipline compounds emotionally long before it compounds financially. The first reward is not more money, it is the quiet pride of knowing you kept a promise to yourself. That pride breeds confidence. Confidence breeds momentum, and momentum eventually becomes an unstoppable force. Once you begin to see yourself as a person who honors commitments to your future self, breaking your own rules becomes psychologically painful. If you have ever started a savings or investment plan only to abandon it because results arrived too slowly, understand this: compounding always appears completely flat and pointless for an agonizingly long period, and then, suddenly and without warning, it explodes upward. The same pattern governs the cultivation of discipline. At first it feels forced and unnatural. After enough repetition, it becomes effortless and identity level. Guard against burnout by remembering that discipline is not masochism. It is not about denying yourself every pleasure or working without rest. It is about conscious balance: spend joyfully on what truly matters, save ruthlessly on what does not, enjoy life without guilt. Because every expenditure aligns with your larger vision. Freedom is not never spending, it is spending without regret or dependence. A crucial component of discipline is the trained ability to say no, no to distractions that derail focus, no to shortcuts that undermine integrity, no to relationships that pressure you into living beyond your means. Every conscious no carves out space for a far more powerful yes. Success demands ruthless selectivity. You cannot chase every opportunity, buy every gadget, or entertain every emotion. Discipline is the art of choosing your battles and then defending those choices daily. Once consistency becomes ingrained, momentum takes over. Your brain begins to crave progress rather than comfort. Self-control shifts from struggle to satisfaction. You move with the calm assurance of someone who trusts their process completely. Setbacks no longer derail you, they refine you. Slow progress is no longer mistaken for failure. It is recognized as the only path that leads to unbreakable success. Eventually an identity-level transformation occurs. You stop thinking, I can't afford this, and start thinking, this is not congruent with the person I have decided to become. That is not arrogance. That is ownership. That is the moment chaos surrenders to control. In the final analysis, discipline is not merely about accumulating money. It is about achieving freedom from your own lower impulses, freedom from reactive living, freedom from fear disguised as desire. The individual who masters discipline has already secured the single most difficult component of wealth, unbreakable internal control. So if you desire your $100 to grow into freedom, begin by mastering today's choices. Do not wait for perfect conditions or surges of motivation. Build habits that operate independently of mood. Build consistency that outlives excitement. Build structure that makes excellence inevitable. Every time you choose discipline when surrender would have been easier, you are compounding something infinitely more valuable than currency. You are compounding unbreakable character. And when character compounds long enough, financial freedom ceases to be a hope and becomes an inevitability. The world always, eventually, rewards those who do the right thing consistently without abandoning the process. Most people do not fail because they lack knowledge, they fail because they lack the patience to allow their knowledge to bear fruit. Patience is the final, often overlooked bridge that connects mindset and discipline to tangible, life-changing results. Without it, even perfect plans collapse under the weight of impatience. You can execute everything flawlessly, save religiously, invest intelligently, remain disciplined for years, yet if you cannot tolerate the long silence before results appear, you will self-destruct moments before the breakthrough. That is the cruel irony of compounding. It operates in near total silence for months or years, and during that silence the vast majority of people lose faith and abandon ship. They switch strategies, spend their accumulated capital, chase new shiny objects, anything to escape the discomfort of not yet. But growth is happening beneath the surface the entire time, exactly like a seed pushing invisible roots through dark soil long before the first green shoot appears. The impatient never remain planted long enough to witness the miracle. True patience is not passive waiting, it is active faith in motion. It is the daily choice to continue doing the right things while calmly affirming, the results will arrive precisely when they are meant to arrive. It is trusting time instead of wrestling with it. Every impatient action, every shortcut, every panic sell, is a declaration that you do not trust either your plan or yourself. Modern culture makes patience almost impossible to cultivate. We are immersed in instant everything, food delivered in minutes, entertainment on demand, information in milliseconds. So when people approach wealth building, they bring the same expectation of immediacy. But real money has never operated on a human urgency schedule. Compounding moves at its own ancient, glacial rhythm, slow, steady, and completely indifferent to your impatience. This is why those who master patience appear almost superhuman. They can sit calmly while others frantically overtrade. They can remain faithful to their process while others abandon theirs in despair. They do not require constant excitement as proof of progress. They understand that authentic wealth is built through repetition across decades, not through occasional heroic moves. Picture two traders with identical skill, identical starting capital, identical knowledge. The sole difference is patience. One can wait weeks for a high-probability setup. The other cannot tolerate being out of a position for more than a day. Over years, the patient trader preserves and grows capital while the impatient trader slowly bleeds to death through commissions, forced errors, and emotional exhaustion. The same dynamic governs investing legends. They are not the ones constantly shuffling stocks, they are the ones who buy exceptional companies and then have the patience to own them for decades while reinvesting dividends and ignoring noise. They treat market volatility as a recurring sale rather than a crisis. They play a game measured in decades, not days. Patience feels passive, yet it is one of the most active mental disciplines you will ever develop. Every day you choose non-reaction, you are strengthening the same neurological muscle that delayed gratification requires. And delayed gratification is the master skill that dominates every arena: trading, business, relationships, life. There will be seasons when patience feels indistinguishable from torture, when everyone around you appears to be getting rich faster, when your own progress seems non-existent, when doubt whispers that you are wasting your time. That is the precise crucible where authentic transformation occurs. Every time you resist the urge to abandon ship, you expand your emotional capacity. You move one step closer to unbreakable maturity. Cultivate patience by aligning expectations with reality. Abandon fantasies of 10 times returns in 10 days. Adopt the mindset of a master builder rather than a desperate gambler. Design strategies that are emotionally sustainable. The best systems are predictably boring. Track actions rather than short-term results. Review process weekly. Celebrate consistency, not monthly P&L. Understand that every disciplined day is adding invisible mass to your future. One day, after thousands of quiet, faithful actions, all the patience, discipline, and restraint will converge into a single moment that looks, from the outside, like overnight success. People will call you lucky. Only you will know the truth: it was never luck. It was simply time finally rewarding the person who refused to quit. Patience is the bridge between the person you are today and the person you are becoming. Every time you choose faithful waiting over reactive panic, you reinforce that bridge. You declare to yourself and to the universe that your future is worth far more than any momentary discomfort. That is the deepest essence of financial freedom, not merely possessing more money, but possessing sovereign control over your relationship with time itself. The individual who can wait, truly wait with calm faith, until their disciplined decisions have fully matured, becomes financially, emotionally, and spiritually untouchable. Markets may crash, opportunities may shift, trends may vanish, but the patient, disciplined mind continues to grow regardless. So if your dream is to transform $100 into lasting freedom, remember this unbreakable trinity: mindset plants the vision, discipline waters it daily, and patience protects it until harvest. The world always rewards those who remain steady when everyone else has lost faith. And behind every authentic story of financial liberation you will find the same quiet sentence, spoken only to oneself in the dark years of waiting. It didn't happen quickly, but my God, it was worth the wait.